I am so very grateful to be last because you have heard from people who can speak far better than I can the words that need to be said. I'm going to speak about Jane Doe in just a moment because I want you to know about her. First of all, let me just say that intimidation and retaliation have been the two words, the two hallmarks of the tenure of Bishop Richard Stika in Knoxville. That is horrifying, but it was even more horrifying to be part and to be the subject of intimidation and retaliation. Bishop Stika has told us he is resigning or retiring, actually, because of medical reasons. Let me just say this. He did not get a Hallmark greeting card from Pope Francis that said, "Hey, Rick, you can go ahead and retire medically if you want. It's okay," despite the fact that there have been two horrible investigations about you conducted by the Vatican. Love, Pope Francis. That did not happen. And the reason that we have this situation in Knoxville with Richard Stika is that, as David said, he basically, the Pope asked him to resign. And this has to be kept in mind going forward and finding out all the truth that we can. And truth will be found out to the last degree in this whole situation. We do have, as Dave said, people that have in the pews who have been lied to, and the truth has been kept from them. And the priests certainly, as Dave has spoken so eloquently. But let me just say there were two investigations, one by the Archbishop of Louisville, who at the time was Joseph Kurtz. And Joseph Kurtz came to Knoxville totally hidden, spoke to people we do not know, made a report, sent it to Rome. We do not know what it said. Then in late November and early December of 2022, the Vatican sent what's called an apostolic visitation. When you hear the words apostolic visitation, you're in trouble. They're not coming to give you a trophy. And they came to investigate the tenure of Bishop Richard Stika and also to investigate the diocese itself. Whatever they found out, along with Kurtz's report, went to Pope Francis, who said on May 13th, it was reported in the Pillar, Vatican to ask Bishop Stika to resign. That was May 13th, a mere approximately 6 weeks ago. And yet this week, we hear from Bishop Stika that he is retiring. I frankly think we need to investigate that more. Beside me here are two victims. Do you see them right here? No, you do not see them because they are silenced by Bishop Richard Stika. Every single victim who has come to Stika or filed a lawsuit since 2009 has had to sign an NDA, whether that be a non-disclosure agreement or a non-disparaging agreement, or some other confidentiality statements in their settlements with the diocese, whether they be through the court or privately. Every single solitary victim has been silenced. That should raise huge red flags to every Catholic and every citizen of East Tennessee. The important thing to note is that these victims, whom you do not see, have asked me to ask Archbishop Fobb of Louisville to release them from these silencing agreements. Right here is, I will send this out by certified mail this afternoon to the Archbishop. It is a request that these two victims who have personally asked me to do this should be released by him from the illegal NDAs under which they have been placed. In 2002, the Dallas Charter was developed by the bishops to try to tell people how they would, from now on, protect their children. In that document, Article 3 says, no victim may be silenced unless that victim chooses silence. In 2019, the Pope wrote a very important document, which he verified again in 2023. It's called Vos Estis Lux Mundi. And in that document, it states again, no victim or whistleblower can be silenced. And no one must in any way interfere with their speech. Bishop Stika has done this routinely, consistently, deliberately for the 14 years he has been here. So we're going to ask Archbishop Fobb to change that. He is now the leader of the Diocese of Knoxville. This is a chance to undo a huge wrong that has been done to victims of clergy abuse. The first person not to have to be silenced was Celeste Arnone in 2021 when her case was settled. Bishop Stika did not like it, but she was not silenced. She would be here today except for family reasons. Michael Boyd in 2019 was silenced with a non-disparaging clause. And I asked the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops in 5 separate complaints to relieve him from this illegal NDA. They don't even respond. If you're a layperson, they don't care. They will not answer you. They think you're going to go away. I'm standing here today to tell you we are going nowhere, and we are not stopping until we get justice for these victims, until the people who want to speak will be able to speak and speak freely. They want to tell you their stories. They want you to understand what they endured from Bishop Richard Stika. I just want to say a few things. What has been said about John Doe, absolutely ditto, ditto, ditto. A heroic man, as is Michael Boyd, Celeste Arnone, and Jane Doe. Jane Doe came to this country as an asylum-seeking Honduran mother whose husband had been killed. She sought asylum here. The church, it's almost impossible. It would take all day to tell you what they have done or tried to do to her to intimidate her and retaliate against her. They even got records illegally from her workplace and tried to get the police to deport her. These kind of actions were sanctioned by Bishop Richard Stika. The buck stopped with him, and he had to have sanctioned all this going on. There is no doubt about it. And to intimidate this woman, as well as John Doe and Celeste Arnone, Michael Boyd, the intimidation was wrong. And it someday, when everybody can tell their stories, you will see what we're talking about. Jane Doe in Gatlinburg needs our support. She needs for us to know that we, and I tried to tell her in SNAP, we are with her and we will stay with her as we do with all of our victims. I think I want to say one more thing. I did not know until this last weekend that Bishop Richard Stika was a victim of sexual abuse, as he's told many of your stations, when he was 13, a freshman in high school. I just found that out. And I've been here 14 years with him. I sincerely want to say this. I wish with all my heart that I had been told, that he had confided in me about that. I would have been to him what I tried to be to all victims, and that is a supporting ear, a help in any way I can be. But instead of being able to help him, we have been on a contentious course this whole 14 years. It didn't have to be that way. He did not have to side with the rapist in the John Doe case. He did not have to send officials up to Gatlinburg to try to undermine everything about Jane Doe, but he did. This is something that cannot be ignored. I want him to know at this very minute, we can talk, Bishop. I can help you with resources. I can at least be a listening ear that I could not be for 14 years. You will be in my prayers. I will be working with other victims, keeping you very close in mind and very close in my heart. That's really all we have to say. I'm going to turn this over to Patrick Thronson for questions from any of you, if that's okay.
Much, Susan. Any questions?
Does the bishop's resignation have any sort of impact on the lawsuit you should address? I understand it's going to continue. Does that mean anything? Does that change anything for John Doe?
It doesn't have any particular, I guess, legal significance in the case. I mean, the case will still continue to go forward. I mean, certainly it's a damning piece of evidence, but with respect to, any particular effect on the legal proceeding, there's not a definite one. I mean, the case will continue to go forward against both him and the diocese.
Would you be able to talk a little bit more about the statute of limitations and the work that's going to be done to kind of like correct that here in Tennessee?
Sure. I think I'd ask John Sprague to address that.
There is a national advocacy group called childusa.org that has, I would encourage you to look at their website for resources about the state of statutes of limitation with respect to civil justice for sex abuse across the country. In Tennessee, a coalition began to form during this last legislative session to try to push the legislature to repeal the statute of limitations going forward. So anyone who is sexually abused in Tennessee, what the original bill said as of July 1st, 2023, which is Saturday, would have the opportunity to sue at any time that they realize that. I think it should be broader. I think you'll find broad support in this coalition to enable survivors of sexual abuse, even if it happened 20 or 30 years ago, to bring those claims now, which is something that you've seen happen in various states across the country, New York, Vermont, there's a whole list of them. So even Kentucky has moved further down this road than Tennessee has. So it's time for Tennessee, and I say that as someone who's born in Kentucky, it is time for Tennessee to catch up with the other states and try to provide justice for sexual abuse survivors. This is something that has been extremely bipartisan on the federal level, and I have every hope that it'll be bipartisan in Tennessee as well.